Hello, everyone. I'm John Davis, Community Relations Director with the Oxford Park Commission. T.G. Gordon to my right. We're going to do a second part with him. We're going to continue to talk about the OPC Boxing Clinic. I did let everybody know that watched the first segment that I was going to find out who your favorite boxer is of all time. I mean, Who is that? Let's start there. Who's your favorite boxer?
My favorite boxer of all time, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard. The reason why is because he fought in adversity. I mean, Ali was a great fighter and all, but for someone to be defeated by themselves and quit and keep that vengeance and hold on into it until the next Olympics and run through everybody they fought, that's impressive.
Sugar Ray Leonard, I mentioned him actually in the first segment. I am, like I said, about to be 44 years old. Wide World of Sports always had a lot of boxing on it in the early 80s. I had two older brothers that were also very much into sports, but boxing was one of our things that we watched. Even as a family group, my father loved it. And Sugar Ray Leonard was the guy. Tyson took him over as far as popularity, there's no doubt. But we didn't have, in the early 80s, a true heavyweight champion as popular as Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray, even though he wasn't a heavyweight fighter, was the most popular fighter in America.
Yes, polarizing.
And he fought like a heavyweight.
Yes. Yes. Sugar Ray would fight a 3-minute round, a minute and a half, circling on the ropes and on his bike, which means moving away from the other fighter.
Right.
And would steal the round, which was a show for fans, but to be able to be fatigued in the later rounds of the fight, the latter rounds, and still around consistently. Like, he'd steal around 7 through 12 if he had to. Late in the fight, that shows that you not only know what you're doing, but your cardio is through the roof.
Yeah, he was a great fighter.
Chisel.
Obviously, Roberto Duran was his biggest opponent. Stone hands. Pacquiao was the only other guy that I can remember, and that kind of came close to being a Roberto Duran foil for guys. You know,
except faster.
He was fast,
a
lot faster. But Duran was such a
hard hitter.
Yeah, he was so hard, even though he was a smaller guy.
You know, I think it was from their regimen. You know, a lot of people don't realize that. It's rumored, because obviously I have no proof of this, but he trained with no hand wraps, with anywhere from 6 to 8 ounce gloves. None of that. No wrist support, with 6 to 8 ounce gloves, which in retrospect are the size of MMA gloves.
Right.
And hitting a heavy bag with 6 ounce gloves on will calicize your hands. I don't care who you are. So
hands of stone.
Yes. So to come to a fight with stone knuckles, I wouldn't want to get hit by him.
So, Sugar Ray Leonard is your favorite fighter.
Yes.
It's wrong for me to say Muhammad Ali was my favorite fighter. I loved watching him.
Yeah.
But it's past. You know, he was. I was born in '75. He was still fighting. Yes. But I mean, for me to really get into boxing, even though I was younger watching boxing, it was past. He was over. Exactly. I loved all his old fights, but I to me, your favorite fighter in a lot of ways has got to be somebody you watch live.
Someone of your time.
The Tyson fights were awesome to me. We actually did pay-per-view. We stopped doing it because he'd knock him out in 43 seconds.
Well, you know,
but the surrounding hype of it all was amazing.
Yeah, you know, and that's what I was about to say. I really believe, besides the fact that Cuss created him as a great fighter, but when Rooney took over, I really believe that 95% of the guys that Tyson fought was afraid of him. A lot of people forget that, but in that Mean Green almost beat Tyson, and I mean it was due to really a bad call. But you know, the rematch that was supposed to happen, Tyson broke his jaw outside in the streets of New York, so that never happened.
But isn't that the whole point of this? I mean, if you can win the fight before you step in the ring,
it's mental warfare,
especially when you got so much money riding on it.
Yes. You know, I tell my fighters, which I mean, I don't know what other guys are watching this, but I tell my fighters when you're at your home gym, we're at the Lyric, we're going to make them stand. We're going to make them wait while your song is playing. We're not walking out. We're going to make them wonder what's going on, and when you walk out, we're walking slow.
All right, what's your favorite? All right, before we go back to the boxing clinic, this is because there's a lot of great questions with TJ. He's a fountain of information. What's your favorite walkout song for your fighters to come out to?
Phil Collins, Feel It in the Air.
Oh, in the air tonight?
Yeah, man.
Phil
Listen,
Collins, yes.
listen, that is, if you play that, people get chills. Because when those toms hit, doom, 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 doom.
All right, so
it
Miami
changes
Vice,
everything.
I was 9 years old when Miami Vice came out. That was like in the very first movie. You remember that?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was so big. Phil Collins in the air tonight. I think it came out in like 82 or 83.
Wow.
Either way, that is a good song. So that's your favorite for them to come out to.
That's the song I came out to.
That's the song you came out to.
It's nothing like it. I can feel it in the air tonight. And then with the myth behind the song, you watch the man drown. It's like, hey, it's about to get ugly tonight.
Yeah.
You're in deep waters.
Right.
That's playing that song.
So if you take part in the boxing clinic, you might get some Phil Collins involved in this.
You might. On the rough cardio days.
On the rough cardio days. On the rough cardio days. All right, don't scare them off too much, TG. I will ask you about this. What are some of the things people should expect? Like week one is what? What would you do week one, week two? What are some of the things people are gonna expect to do in your class?
Beautiful. So I break everything down into 2-week segments.
Okay.
First thing is always preparation. I got to prepare you for what's coming ahead. So the first 2 weeks, we'll be filling out with fit tests. I'll be seeing where you stand because everyone's not going to be in the same place. I believe the biggest problem and the biggest issue with a lot of classes is that people will just take them and say, all right, do it at this pace, everybody. You can't do that because everyone's not the same. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I pretty much figure out where everyone stands individually. And instead of me dumbing the classes down, I personalize those workouts. So although we're all doing calisthenics, somebody might be doing what I call a tier 5 workout for core, while someone else is doing tier 3, which is the level of difficulty. And what will end up happening is instead of everybody coming to one, everyone will grow to their own individual limits. You'll reach a limit and you'll break it. And eventually, the results you wanted, you'll have them.
And the young ones, the youngest kids, mm-hmm. or even just the kids in general, mm-hmm. you're going to do the same kind of philosophy. You're going to figure out what they could do and start to tailor things that they can do to make them successful.
Because at that age, from a kinesiology standpoint, it's all about motor mechanics. The motions, what movements do you understand? Because they're young, they're fragile. So you don't want to disrupt any kind of movements later down the line. You don't want to have them doing stretches that an 18-year-old is doing because you don't want to damage any important parts of the body or anything that'll deal with their mobility. So what I'll do is teach them technique. First, technique. When they're that young, keeping their attention first, right?
Right.
Gotta keep their attention. But technique, I'm gonna show them how to actually throw these strikes. I'm gonna let them hit the hand mitts. They're gonna have their gloves on. I'll show them how to do a push-up or two. You get rewarded for doing correct work. And what ends up happening is everything becomes a competition. At that age, who's the best? Are you better than him? And what we'll do is we'll make it a fun atmosphere, but they'll get to learn. And they'll retain the information,
And another thing I'll say about boxing, I think, is also a difference maker compared to a lot of sports. Football's ultimate, the best team game.
Yes.
You played it, I played it. But I think boxing, from a singular, individual, more type sport, mm-hmm. is as good, if not the best, in improving your confidence.
Yes, because hey, like I tell anybody that I'm training, I can teach you everything under the sun, but what's going to happen is when you're fatigued, you're going to go to your muscle reflexes. I'm not in the ring with you. You're by yourself. So that carries throughout life when you do boxing workouts. The things you think you can't do, the things you said, I won't be able to do that. When you have a fighter's confidence, you'll look at it like, I can get it done.
Yeah.
It's just how I'm going to get it done. And that's what I'm going to instill into everyone who's in the program. If they have low confidence, they'll be gone by the time I get through it.
T.G. Gordon, Boxing Clinic, currently registering now at OxfordParkCommission.com. There's 4 different age divisions. Mm-hmm. It's physical, but it's mental as well.
Yes.
It's going to improve you in both areas. I really think that this class is a breath of fresh air, number one, but I think it's going to make a big difference in you. And if you've been looking for something to jumpstart your fitness, T.G. Gordon's got the class for you.
Hey, I got his back.
He's been around great boxers. He's done a fantastic job getting them ready. I've seen improvement in a lot of them. I think you'll get it here.
Yes. You will. You get the same treatment. And the big picture is this. Hey, you might become good enough to compete for me. And, hey, you get it's nothing like
then
having
hey, look, then you can put this on
How
right
about
here.
that? Show them that.
Yeah.
That's what champions
I'm going to get that's right. All right. TG, thanks for joining me.
Never a problem.
Y'all take care. Come join us for another video.
Yes, indeed.